What's going on? Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. This is your late night live on a Friday night where your host has had a couple of whiskies, not gonna lie, and a couple of pints of lager, but we're good to go. Likewise, I was just about to say to you then, Sam, are you on any of the kind of poison yourself? But
Absolutely,
you've given that away straight away. Yeah, we're going to discuss tonight fresh injury concerns for Manchester United. Unfortunately, yet more bad news for us. There's more leaks coming from the players through journalists and separate outlets, which is another disappointing thing. Ten Hag has a bold statement on the owners, which I definitely want to get into, and it's kind of a little bit confusing for myself. And then we have much more on the transfer stuff, a little bit of stuff on Kylian Mbappe, and then, a certain thing we've got planned towards the end of the show, which is basically for interactive viewers like yourself. So, first and foremost, Sam, how are we doing on this fine Friday night?
Yeah, it's been nice. Just been out, a little bit of a stroll, nice sun and stuff. So I tried to see the Northern Lights because apparently you could see them, but I couldn't see it. So
oh wow, really?
Yeah, apparently you can see them over the weekend, but you have to look at a specific spot and less light pollution. And obviously, when you live in a town centre, it's a bit difficult to get no light.
Yeah,
light pollution.
It's kind of that weather in it where it's like it's not the sun isn't out, but it's warm and great. Does that make sense? Like it didn't feel like the sun was out at all. I don't know where you was. Obviously, it's not too far, but no. I just felt like I was out today. It felt almost more humid than it did sunny.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's overcast and warm. That's the that's the one.
Yeah. Well, injuries strike again for us in our hot sense. Mason Mount has had another setback. Luke Shaw has had another setback. Lisandro Martinez is still not ready. No ideas on the others because we've had no clarification whatsoever in terms of Camboala, Lindelof, Varane, and the rest on the fucking list. But yeah, Sam, in all seriousness, when you look at it at this point, when it's 65 plus injuries, and again, I know we discussed the medical department in depth, but surely some kind of investigation needs to go on now, right? Well, like, all jokes aside, I'm not even like bantering. Something needs to happen, done it, because it's getting absolutely relentless at this point.
Yeah, I think we had a little discussion. I don't know if we're going to get onto it later with the stuff Ten Hag has been doing with the lectures and that. Yeah, we'll get onto that later. Mm-hmm. It's one or two things, isn't it? Either it might be a combination of the three, to be honest. Either the medical department is completely incompetent and has no idea what these players' injuries are, how fit they are, how far away they are, should they be training and stuff. That might be one, point A. Point B is Ten Hag might not be doing correct reintroduction into training and basically running them into the ground straight away to get their fitness up and get them to the point where he can use them. But in that thing, because they're just coming back from injury, obviously the body's not ready for it and it's re-injuring them. Or C, he's pushing these players to their limit to figure out who can handle this strain and who can handle the system that he wants to play. And it turns out pretty much nobody can besides Garnacho and maybe Bruno, but even he's injured at the minute. So there's a lot of stuff going on. So you could blame manager incompetency, you could blame medical incompetency. Are these players just injury prone? Because obviously Mason Mount has a history. He was injured most of last season for Chelsea. He's been injured the entire season of this for United. He's effectively, we could have gone for free next summer, and we've effectively just pissed 60 million down the drain, haven't we? Because he's not been able to play.
Yeah. I mean, there's a weird. I've got kind of bit of a tug of war going on my head at the minute, because how do you push players to compete with the intensity of the Premier League by not stretching them in training? Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, how do you get them levels up without pushing it? Like, are you also baffled by that as well? Because I feel a little bit confused with it.
I think, again, it's the combination of stuff. I think when they want to push to a certain level, like you see Liverpool, they play rock and roll style football, high press, high energy, and they push. Now, some would say that the fact that the 75% of them happen to be asthmatic might have something to do with it, allegedly. Yeah. However, they have had injuries, but I don't think they haven't had nearly the amount of injuries we have, and they're able to cope with it. So that tells you either their medical department is very well dialed into how their players are, the load management and stuff like that, so they know when to play and when to rest them, when to pull back on training, when to do this, and they're able to do that. Or B, their players are all far more less injury prone than the players we have. It's one of the two. And we don't know because we're not at training. We don't know players' medical histories, all that sort of stuff. Terrell Malacia, up until before he came to United, his injury record was absolutely fantastic, and now he's been out for a fucking year. Like, bizarre to me. Luke Shaw, I think he's just injury prone, isn't he? Like, he's been injury prone his entire time at United. That's nothing new under 10 Hag.
He is, but to miss almost a full season.
Yeah, but he's missed. He's like 60% of games he's not been available for.
This season, he's missed fucking 90%.
Yeah,
hasn't he?
That's what I mean.
I'm saying,
and then Mason Mount was injury prone at Chelsea the year before. He had a huge groin injury. So is that United? I don't know. But then you start looking at players who are always fit. Bruno Fernandes, he's out injured. That's a worry because he never gets fucking injured. Harry Maguire, he's been out with injury twice. He never gets injured.
I think his is a muscle injury as well, though.
Yeah.
Which is
that's a worry. So yeah, there's stuff in there that you have to worry about, and we don't know for sure. People are going to blame Ten Hag, and you can't really argue against it because maybe he is running too hard training. People are going to blame the medical department, which again, it's hard to argue because we don't know. So we're kind of guessing at the minute. It's one of the two, or it's a combination of the two, or there's players who are not up to this. There's a lot of stuff going on, and we're probably never going to know until either A, the medical department changes and all these injuries go away, B, the manager changes and then they stop getting injured, or C, all these players go. I don't know which way it is. I really don't.
Well, it's like HMJ says in the chat, how the hell has a guy that's injured got injured again? He's a walking stick snapped or something like that. Obviously in reference to Mason Mount. And I'm gutted for him. Because everyone who watches this channel knows I'm a fan of him. I want him to succeed. I believe he's a very good player. But when you have as many injuries that you have, one, you have to be concerned long term. Yeah. Like, it's just going to get progressively worse as he gets older. I know he's only 24, 25 or whatever, but that likely with age is that, it's going to get worse. And two, did Chelsea kind of know about this maybe a little bit before they sold? Like, were they looking at certain scans and thinking, not entirely sure, maybe take the 60 million quid now? I know that kind of sounds a little bit down conspiracy road or whatever, but I don't know, man. I think, yeah.
Another conspiracy is, are these players injured or do they just not want to play because of what's going on?
I can't see Mount as that type of person.
I don't think. I'm not saying Mount is, but I'm saying other players. I'm saying other players.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I'm saying other players
they've done it before, haven't they?
Exactly.
Under previous coaches.
I think other players are like, I've got a bit of a diggle, but I could probably play, but I don't fancy it with this team and the shit it's going through. I don't fancy it. I'm just gonna sit out and pretend I'm there. I'm not saying I don't. Again, I agree with you. I don't think Mount is that type of guy. I really don't. I don't think he is, and I don't think Bruno's that type of guy. I think Bruno's the type of guy his leg will fall off before he gets pulled off the pitch. So I think those guys are genuinely injured, but then are some of them holding back when they could probably play? It's a possibility. I really do think it's a possibility.
Simon Davis says, told you time ago to write this season off, dudes. I can't believe you're blind to the process which needs to happen for United. I'm not sure what you're referencing there, but yeah. Individually as well, it's like when you go through the team, some of the fine tooth comb, I don't think we have the individuals for this kind of robust, resilient, high pressing team do. Where you look at players like Christian Eriksen, Casemiro, Johnny Evans, 35 years old, Maguire. I mean, you could quite literally go through the team and have about probably 10, 11 players there. I'm not sure if that fits. So that's where it comes to a breaking point where it's like, is it the manager? Is it the players? Like, in terms of what type of player they are physically, how they can deal with the workload? And should the manager keep sticking with it because he believes in his principles? And if he was to go away from that, would it be backtracking on what he believes in as a coach? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Yeah, like, I think it's a combination. I don't think it's one or the other. I think the players aren't suited for the system. We know that. We've seen that. Like, even when he had his full team available to him, Wolves the first game, we looked like shit. We looked awful. I couldn't see what it was he was trying to do, but it was early days. And I think we could probably name, 3 games where we've actually looked competent and looked like we knew what we were doing in the system and stuff, and it was like working. Spurs, maybe first half. Wolves first half away. Crystal Palace in the cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they had a very weak team as well, didn't
exactly.
they? In that sense, like.
But like that's
team.
3 performances where I'm like, yeah, the system looked good and we were playing well. That's about it. So clearly the players aren't suited for the system. Otherwise, we see a lot more better performances. The manager is also extremely stubborn. Like, he is ridiculously stubborn he's stubborn to the point that it's going to cost him his job. That's what it's going to do. Not only in tactics and style of play and what he's trying to do and set up. He clearly knows he hasn't got the players for it, but he's still trying to force it through. And the only reason I can think of is if he tries to come up with another style, it's going to take him twice as long to then get this other style involved, and he's going to lose ground on a style he's been trying to implement the entire season. And I think that's where his head's at. He's like, I don't want to revert back to type when I've been trying to get this into their heads all season, and then I'm going to have to go, right, forget all that shit I'm trying to teach you. We're doing this
because
now.
once you fall back on it, it's like the players will start questioning them, won't they?
Exactly. So that's another thing. But then at the same time, you do have to mitigate the injuries and stuff that are happening. Like, you have to play with what you've got. And I've seen teams where they have been injury prone and they've had to change things around and be more pragmatic and stuff. And I think he could be more flexible to do that and more adaptable. And I think fans would give him a bit of a break and get off his case a little bit if he did do that. But he's just not gonna. And that's who he is. And every great manager is stubborn to a fault. Pep, Klopp, De Zerbi, Xabi Alonso, Thomas Tuchel, they're all stubborn. Like, it's like, this is my way or the highway, and they'll either fall out with the owner or they'll be successful. That's it's always the way it goes. Pep, Barcelona, extremely successful. Bayern Munich was successful but couldn't work within the system and ended up leaving. City, extremely successful. De Zerbi, extremely successful last season, but this season it's fallen apart, and you're like, is there trouble there going on now? Tuchel just falls out with every single person despite being successful. And I think that's just a trait of successful managers, and I think that's where Ten Hag is, but he hasn't had the success this season at United to go, look, I know we're not liking the style of football and the enjoyment, but I've won, I've got results out. He hasn't got that, which is why people are on his case more. I think if we had results and we were 4th, I don't think it'd be as big of a deal. But because where we are in 8th, and we've out of every competition by the FA Cup, and we've had shit performances, he's got nothing to be like, to hang his hat on and be like, at least I've got this. So I think it's a combination of all of them, and I think you're right. I think certain players just don't want to play anymore, and I just think they're not up for it, regardless of whether they got the ability to do so or not. I think a lot of players are just phoning it in and going, I can't be arsed anymore. We've seen it on the pitch. Casemiro, look at him. He clearly can't be arsed. Can't be bothered.
I get it to a certain extent, but then this is kind of leading to players, from what seems, I mean, we had a period today from about, I want to say about 7 o'clock, where there's just loads of news coming out about players unhappy with the way Ten Hag's managed certain things. And you know what, I'll read out the things that themselves and get a reaction to it, and the reaction for people that are watching. So the way Erik Ten Hag deals with personal situations at Manchester United is not liked by the club's leaders. There is also an opinion in the United locker room that Ten Hag does not have enough experience to manage the club the size of United. How many times have we fucking heard that before?
Honestly, repeating it. Every fucking manager.
It really, really is.
Every manager.
Yeah. Some of Manchester United's players prefer to consult a private specialist or ignore their injury rather than opting for treatment from the club's medical team.
Why?
The poor performance of the medical staff is pointed out as another cause of the reoccurrence injuries this season, which leads me to, I remember Casemiro. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
With the was it his hamstring or something like that? He was like, "Can I play?" And the medical staff were like, "Yeah." And then he went and seen a consultant in Brazil or something, and
also,
he was like, "No, you probably shouldn't play."
Lissandro was given a rehab thing, and he didn't do it. He went a different way, because he thought he would be able to play, and he reverted away from his rehab plan that he was put on, and then he went away to Argentina, didn't he? And United were like, we don't want you to go, and he went anyway, and it's just like, well, what's the fucking point?
What's interesting about that is that they're saying they don't like the way Ten Hag has dealt with certain things. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, or do like point out something if than what you can remember, but from what I remember with individual players, at least, the Cristiano Ronaldo situation, I think the majority of people said he dealt with that pretty good, from what I can remember. Jadon Sancho, give him numerous chances, managed that quite well, I would say, and then Sancho went on social media and the rest is history. Marcus Rashford, in Belfast, dropped him, brought him on, scored.
The Wolves one as well, where he was late for team meeting.
Yeah, dropped him, brought him on, scored. And then the Maguire situation, the captain said, look how better he's performing now.
Yeah.
So really, the proof is in the pudding in terms of individual players. You can argue all you want about the way he's training them or whatever it is, but I think he's dealt with individuals good. Do you not think?
Absolutely. No, I agree 100%. Like we were saying, remember under Ollie, where they were complaining that they had to train at night when the sun had gone down and they didn't want to train it, and people were like, oh, Ollie's too soft on him, he just wants to be pally with him, and he was doing these interviews with like, oh, Scott's a great lad, and Rashi, and people were like, he's too soft, he's fucking like, just let the players get away with what we need, the disciplinarian, and people were like calling for Conte at the time, who was available, and then we saw like he made Spurs run laps, didn't he, and they passed out in the heat and stuff, people were like, oh, we need that United, bro, we need that. And now Ten Hag's coming, he's implemented discipline, and now the players are kicking off about that, and people are like, oh, he's being too hard on him, he's running too hard. It's like, what the fuck do you want, man? Like, what do you want? Like, do you want a disciplinarian who's going to put strict standards in and put things in place so they will adhere to those standards? And if they fall short or they start kicking off, hopefully Ineos are going to give him the power to go, yeah, get him the fuck out of the club. Like, get him out. Fergie had that power. It doesn't matter who you were. If you tried to kick off with the club or you tried to put a foul word about the club, you were gone. Doesn't matter who you are, Stam, Beckham, Keane, it doesn't matter who you are, you will fucking go. And that's the way Manchester United need to be. Like, you can't have these players dictating who's going to be the manager and when they train and how hard they train, because you're just going to have the same cycle that we've had Jose, who was too harsh on the players and was chucking players under the bus. He went. We had Ollie coming after Jose, he was too soft and stuff like that, and then he lost his job because he got battered by Liverpool and Watford. He went, and now the same thing's happening. Ragnick, they didn't respect him, and they were like, oh, it's better. They lasted 45 minutes of his pressing at Crystal Palace. Went, fuck it, we're not doing the thing. I just dialed it all in for the rest of the season, and he went, and he was supposed to move up top, and now they're doing the same thing to Ten Hag, and people don't seem to realise what the common issue here. It's the fucking players. It's the players.
I mean, if you can't respect Jose Mourinho, one of the greatest coaches ever, you know, and won a Champions League with Porto, won a treble with Inter Milan, and all these things, I don't know what to tell you. Like, the fact that these guys, they're criticising his preparation as well. There was bits about that which I'll read out now. The way Erik ten Hag approaches the preparation for Manchester United's matches is the target of complaints in the locker room. The Dutchman is in the habit of holding tactical meetings that precede each game in an unusual way. They are usually extensive, from 30 to 40 minutes, and are repeated 3 or 4 times a week, a frequency that bothers and surprises the locker room. More than one player says that he's had more lectures of this type with Ten Hag at United than the rest of his career. Players do not assimilate. I don't know what that word is. Assimilate, yeah. Ten Hag's instructions. It's a difficult and tiring method, says a source linked to United. Locker room.
By the way,
it seems like they're very unhappy with his methods, whatever way you want to look at it. They're pushing this kind of old school narrative. They're not a fan of it. But like you said, they said this about other coaches as well. How many times have we seen this with Ragnick, all them? Like, they've said it about everyone. So who is the right guy, really, if you're just going to criticise every single coach? That's what annoys me.
They just want to get on and do whatever they want and get picked no matter what performance they put in and get a massive contract for doing this. So I'm not saying all the players are like that, because I'm sure there isn't. I'm sure there's some players in there who genuinely want to play for United.
It seems like the majority.
But majority do seem to be absolute dickheads. And if they're complaining 3 or 4 times a week, 30 to 40 minutes, so like not even like, so 30 hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours a week to sit through tactics and details. So these guys need to go to fucking uni and sit through an hour lecture 5 times a day, 5 days a week. Like, try and fucking do that. And then, try work an 8-hour job on top of that. Why would you do that? Fucking,
it just feels like the blame game to me. Like, they just push it out on the manager, on the coaches. Like,
if he's having to do this now, if he's having to, like, repeatedly do instructions, repeatedly do tactics, and repeatedly do that means they're not taking it on board, they're not listening, and they're not following it in game, which means in his head he's going, I'm going to have to keep drilling this into them because they're not getting it. And they're not understanding, so I'm going to have to keep going through it until they get it. And they're clearly just going, fuck this. And then they're going on the pitch and doing what they want. And it seems to be evident on the pitch, because you see Garnacho not passing to Højlund, making the wrong decisions consistently. Rashford doing the same thing, running into players, not passing, doing the wrong thing, not tracking back, which I'm sure would be in his instructions. You can see it on the pitch. It's evident on the pitch, and it's just like, how long are we going to blame the manager for these problems until we realise these are players who are the problems, and we need to get rid of 10, maybe 12 players and rebuild this entire team before it gets better? Because the longer you have players like, and I don't want to name names because I don't know for sure who these people are, but for example, Rashford might be one of them. Garnacho might be one of them. People like that. I don't know. I'm just like speculating. Until you get rid of those type of players, you should have the same thing. So you could bring in Thomas Tuchel. I guarantee you within a year they kick off with him and say he's too harsh, he's 100%. Too strict, he's doing this, 100%. He's doing that, and then all the players all the people on Twitter be like, Tuchel's brought in, he's being too harsh. It's just like, how long are we going to do this for? How long? How fucking long, man?
It's true. I'm going to go to the comment section. Grace Sheridan saying, did I guess all the transfers questions correctly? I haven't seen it in the comments, but I'll have a look for you and I'll let you know. There's a couple of tough ones I threw in there, to be fair. HMC says, this squad simply isn't good enough for fourth. Last season, the cracks, and now they've come back again. Grace saying, wasn't Ronaldo made captain a couple of games after he walked down the tunnel? I don't know if he was made captain. I don't know.
Maybe.
Do you remember that?
It sounds familiar, but I think he did it. He did the tunnel thing, and then he said he'd deal with it, and then he was dropped from training, or he was dropped from the squad the following thing, I think. And then they asked him about it, and he said, "Oh, it's been dealt with." And he came back, and then he did the other thing. He did the interview, and then they're like, "Right, you fuck it, it's done. It's done."
Yeah, you're done, mate. You're done. Doing an interview with that fucking gammon face. It's weird actually because I was discussing the striker situation before. James from Uppertiers put out that we're looking at a more experienced striker and blah blah blah. And I was thinking Cristiano Ronaldo would have been perfect for Højlund, just that, like, to set that example. Yeah. But yeah, it wasn't sustainable. He couldn't stay. Dino Lewis says Jose said that when he was in charge, he wanted certain players gone because they wasn't United players. Most of them players are still there under Erik ten Hag. Yep. Martial, Rashford are two of the big ones in that. Who he was mentioning, and Shaw was another one as well, I believe. If you kind of put the dots together. Now, again, this leads into the next topic of conversation, Sam, because Ten Hag, I don't know if it was in his press conference or if it was in like some different kind of interview that he's done, but he got asked about what he think the owners will do, basically, and he said the owners have common sense, they're not stupid, which is a very strong comment. And he went on to explain that, you know, he's had 32 different backline combinations, 13 different centre-back partnerships. They haven't had a fit left-back all season. And the FA Cup final is a great opportunity to show that. Again, I know I've asked you this question before, but do you agree with him in that?
He's right in terms of, like, that is a factor, because we've spoken about it multiple times. We haven't had a fit actual left-back all season, I'd say. Like, Luke Shaw's had a couple of appearances in there, but for like 90% of the season, we do not have a fit left back. We've played Wan-Bissaka or Dalot. We've played Amrabat and Lindelof there at times as well.
Oh, God. Yeah,
so,
I remember that.
Do you know what I mean? No, we haven't had a fit. And then centre-backs. What's the longest run we've had with a centre-back pairing? Because I don't think it's more than 2 games. I
think it's been different every time.
Yeah.
Really.
I don't think it's more than 2 games. Like, it's just ridiculous, like, at this point. It's like, so I think that is a factor. And at the minute, have we got a fit centre-back at the minute? Johnny Evans, maybe? I don't know.
Maybe. But that Insider United on Twitter put he's 8% going to miss the game, apparently.
Right.
So
perfect. So we haven't got a fit centre-back.
No. And fit being the key word there.
Yeah.
We've got a centre-back in Johnny Evans, but he isn't fit at all.
Yeah. And you could tell against Crystal Palace as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Mateta was just like, slip it, mate.
So that is obviously, like, if you've got no fit defenders apart from a single right or 2 right backs, and even Wan-Bissaka's been injured for part of the season as well. So he's had 1 fit right back all season in Dalot, and then the rest of it's just been a guesswork and patchwork for the entire season. So it is a factor, like, it has to be, and especially with the number of shots we conceded. He can't play the system that he wants to play because he can't play out from the back because he only plays capable of doing that, Alessandro and Leacher. And we haven't had him all season.
Alessandro's
sorry.
Yeah.
They've not been available, so it's just like, well, of course it's a factor. I do think there's things he should be doing and he could be doing to help himself. which he isn't doing. So he does need to take some of the responsibility there, like in-game management, certain substitutions, tactical setup and flexibility. He does need to look at that stuff. But the injuries are a massive factor. Absolutely. Has he caused them? Has he put the training in on players who are coming back from injury and put them in too hard? Possibly. We don't know. Or the medical departments are competent. Again, these are all factors that we're just speculating on. We don't actually know for sure. But it's definitely a factor, man. Like, it has to be taken into account.
Well, I suppose that what I'm asking is, let's say Arsenal, for example, who are top of the league at the minute and we play on the weekend. Let's just take them because they're the easiest example. And if you got rid of the majority of their back line, so their strongest, I mean, I know they're not really strong at left back anyway, that's like the weak spot. But if you took Ben White, Saliba and Gabriel for the majority of the season, they were leaking so many more goals. Yeah, and then let's say...
Who are their backups? Who are their backups? So you got Zinchenko, who I don't rate at all. I think there's Kiwior, and then that Tomiyasu. Is it Tomiyasu?
Tomiyasu, yeah. And then I don't even know who the centre back replacements are.
They'd be fucked.
Yeah.
And then imagine
that's just a back line.
Imagine you got rid of 3 of them as well. So they only had 1 left, which is what we've got. We've got one fit like first team defender. We've got. So imagine you take all of them, and then they've just got to try and patch it together and stick Thomas Partey back there. And do you know what I mean? Imagine that. They ain't doing a title charge. Like, it's not happening.
And then you take Saka, let's say you compare to Rashford in terms of goal scoring, like prowess. And let's say he has a bad season on top of that as well. And then you start mixing, when you really look at it and start mixing all the facts and take it into consideration, it's interesting, isn't it? Because their points total would drop dramatically if that situation happens. So it's obviously a factor in that sense. And there's a lot more context to it. There's reasons why they've got injured and people will question the training methods and blah, blah, blah. But I believe that side of it.
Eddie Howe as well.
Like, it's so difficult.
Eddie Howe as well has had a lot of injuries this season. And people have just cut him a break. People have just gone, yeah, he did really well last season, but he's had a lot of injuries this season. So
it's not United.
Do you know what I mean? But it's United. He should be trying to win the title when he's got 65 separate injuries, 16 different centre back combinations, 32 different defensive combinations. But he should be doing better. Like, come on. Like,
in fairness, Newcastle have had their injury problems, and they're in the same position as us in the table. So it kind of shows.
But nobody cares. Like, everyone's just like, yeah,
it's not United.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly that. With a fully fit team, how much, if we have got one, how much do you give us a chance in the FA Cup final if everyone's available?
I still think we get battered, to be honest with you.
Battered?
Yeah. I think City are like, if it was a Liverpool or an Arsenal or a Spurs or someone like that in the top 5, I think we'd have a better chance. I think City are just on another stratosphere in terms of being able to win trophies at a canter. Like that FA Cup final last year, we were in the game for the most part, but City looked really, really poor. Like, they did not look up for it.
Yeah, they weren't great, were they?
They were not great, but they still beat us. Even though they weren't great, they still beat us. And I just think they're able to beat teams even when they're not great. Yeah, like they can do it. And I think if they show up anywhere near what the form they're going through at the minute in the league, we'll just get smashed to bits. I think I don't see any hope. I think even if we had Leach, Varane, Shaw, Rashford's on his pomp and stuff like that, I still think it's a difficult 70-30 split in favour of City.
What is our best team, do you think? If everyone was fit and available now, what is our best team?
If they're in form, are they in form?
Yeah.
Right. If they're in form, like, it's Onana, Dalot, Varane, Lissandro, Shaw. It's Kobe, and then the defensive midfield is, if Casemiro, last year's Casemiro.
Yeah.
Like, Kobe, last year's Casemiro. But
if not, let's say right now, because obviously Casemiro's fell off a cliff, what midfield would you go with?
I'd put Amrabat in there, personally.
Yeah.
Bruno, and then if Rashford decides to show up, because he shows up in big games apparently, you stick Rashford there, you've got Garnacho on the right, and then Højlund down the middle, because we don't have another striker. So that's probably your strongest team, I would argue.
Yeah.
I don't know if you disagree. Right. I don't know if you disagree, but...
No, I'd probably agree with that. Amrabat's an interesting one because he's very conflicting. But given how Casemiro's performing at the minute, I mean...
Can't do any worse, can he? He can't do worse. There's no way he can do worse than that. Even if you just tell him, look, you don't cross the halfway line, Sofian,
Yeah.
don't cross the halfway line.
Just screen the back
Just
line. That's
look
all
at
you need to do.
Whoever's in centre back pairing, just stay there. Just keep him within your eye view and don't cross the halfway line. Let Cobby go. Let Bruno go. You just stay there. And he'll do a better job. I hope. I promise you, he'll do a better job.
Well, sticking with the injury theme throughout the show, we're going to get into guess the injury-prone player. I think Sam's done something like that. But I'm going to read out a couple of comments while Sam loads that up. Grace Sheridan says we'll smash City. A famous last words.
What are you drinking, Grace?
I know. HMG says everyone fit, then maybe we sneak a 12-0 loss. Dino saying Shaw not playing with Rashford on the left, also a big drop off in quality. Then from our first team is huge, especially if most are missing. Going to beat City 2-1, 2-0 up 20 minutes and hold on for dear life until the end. Well, I love the positivity. And if you are feeling positive, please do smash a like on the video for us as well. And hit that subscribe button because I believe we're only 8 subs off.
Yes.
5,000, which is amazing. So if you are tuning in now or you're watching later on, please do click that subscribe button because it helps us more than you know. Right, let me pull this up so I can see.
Yeah.
This is injury prone players, yeah?
Injury prone United players.
Right. Let me have a look. Oh god. Injury prone players.
I've got I've got clues if you need them. 2007
to 2008, that season, isn't it? Can you give me a first clue? I'll probably get it with the first clue.
He played under Fergie.
Well, if it's if it's 2007, 2008, he's going to play under Fergie, isn't it?
You want another clue?
Yeah.
Played for England.
England? Oh, Hargreaves, is it?
Boom. Owen Hargreaves.
Owen Hargreaves, there it is.
What a player. When he was fit, what a player, but he was just never fit, man.
Such a good player, man. Oh, you know what? I really like him as a pundit as well. I don't know
if he's good.
In that.
He's good.
I like him.
But yeah, he was just never fit. But
it was good for us though in that season.
Yeah, that one season in the Champions League, he was phenomenal, and then after that, it just absolutely shit the bed.
I agree.
But next one.
Right, let's go. Next up.
This is obvious.
I'm just waiting.
Don't say it out loud because this one's quite obvious. Let's just see if the chat get it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Chat, if you don't get this, then you're watching the wrong channel.
I mean, this is the biggest.
This is number one. This is number one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
Grace,
almost a decade.
Grace and Dino got Hargreaves. It's not Valencia, Grace. Nope, not Valencia.
No, Valencia left under Mourinho, I think.
Yeah.
That was his last thing, yeah. And that badge is like under Ollie. I remember that black badge.
Next.
It's the biggest one. Yeah?
Go on.
Let's go.
Tell him.
Martial.
There we go. Tony Martial.
I mean, I think we need to at some point go through his actual injuries and see how long he's missed.
We'll be here for about half hour. Like, it'd just be ridiculous.
It's gotta be ridiculous, yeah.
Right, number 3.
Let's have a look. Wait for it to pop up. What are we saying? Okay. Chevrolet, so under Van Gaal. Injury prone. I think I know who it is. But I could be wrong.
Anybody in the chat? We've got any guesses?
If I know you.
Fucking hell, Henry. I'd have not heard that name in ages. Paddy McNair. No, it's not him.
Paddy McNair?
Fucking hell.
Wow.
I've not heard that name.
Damien.
No, it's not Damien. I would have put that
Who
on
put Damien?
Ali.
No. not Damien. Sam knows better than
I would have put that on. It just caused a meltdown. Yeah, under 21. I know who Paddy McNair is, Henry. Like, I know who he is, but yeah, it's not him.
I feel like I know who it is, but then I feel like you could have just kind of...
You reckon I might have swerved you?
Yeah. I think so.
It's not Phil Jones, Grace. It's not Phil Jones.
Is it? No, it's not Luke Shaw, is it?
No, it's not Luke Shaw.
Ooh.
Ali, it's not Daley Blind. Falcao. Correct.
Ah, yes, Falcao. Oh,
I was so excited about him.
I know.
I was so excited.
He is. If you watch that guy in his prime, oh my god. He is just one of the most beautiful footballers you'll ever see in your life. In terms of an out-and-out. You know, like Cavani when he came, and he just had that instinct. Like, you don't really get them strikers anymore.
We've had strikers who are some of the best strikers in the world, and then we've got them at the worst time. Falcao, Ibrahimovic, even though he was all right for us. Cavani. Like, it's just, oh, God. But yeah, Falcao, man, he did his ACL and he was never the same again.
Crazy.
Just never the same again.
But... Scored like 3 goals for us or something. Yeah. Mad.
Yeah. Never fall in love with a lone player. That's the lesson.
No.
Alright, next one.
Okay, let's go. Okay. Danny Welbeck?
Nope.
No, not Danny Welbeck. Ooh, actually, yeah, I know who it is.
Jemba. No, it's not Jemba. Get out.
We're not naming just shit players.
People have got it right in the chat. Go on, Nick. Do you wanna?
Well, I'm gonna look like a mug now if I get it wrong. Louis Saha.
Louis Saha. Again, brilliant fucking player.
Striker.
Brilliant player.
Another striker.
And then just always injured.
It was, Gary Neville who said he gave him fucking nightmares, didn't he, in training? Like, he could not get near the guy.
Yeah.
Such a shame, man, when you look at these kind of players, even some of the greats like Ronaldo Nazario, his knee injuries that he picked up. And if he wouldn't have done, what a fucking man. Yeah. Shame he never won a Champions League.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird. You think about the teams he played for, Barca, AC, Inter.
God.
Like, you think
that Brazil team.
He must have won something. And he was like, nope, it's not won it.
Nope. Yeah.
Bizarre. I think. Do you hear that story Jose said when he came to Barca with Bobby Robson?
When he was Bobby Robson,
who was the striker? Was it Zito? I can't remember the striker.
He said he was scoring quite a bit, wasn't he? And then when he brought R9 in.
And then he was just like, oh, I brought him in. He's like, what? You can't start Ronaldo. The guy's been scoring. This guy's been scoring all season. He's like, just trust me. Do you want to be a coach? Do you want to be nice or do you want to be a coach? He's like, I want to be a coach. Right. This is what. Just trust me. And then he scored a hat trick or something, did he, on his debut? It's like, fucking hell.
I remember him. Do you remember that performance at Old Trafford in the Black Madrid kit? The hat trick that he scored, and he got a standing ovation from.
Yeah, even United fans were like, "Fucking fair play, mate."
Fair play, mate.
Fair play. But yeah, there you go. Right, last one. Don't say it out loud, but.
Ooh, it's the season Van Persie's when they won the league, isn't it?
The picnic table shirt.
Oh, who's that? He looks quite skinny, him. Ooh.
It's not Bailey. Nope.
No, Bailey didn't join until Mourinho.
And he's not that skinny either, Bailey. Like, he's fucking jacked.
Yeah. This guy's skinny. Injury prone.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, fucking hell.
Got any clues?
Yeah, from the first clue.
He still plays in the Premier League.
Ooh, I want to say Ashley Young just because of how skinny he is.
Not Ashley Young.
He looks quite ripped, to be fair for Ashley. Ashley Young's just dead skinny. He still plays in the Premier League now?
Yeah.
Welbeck?
Yes, Danny Welbeck.
Danny Welbeck. So I got it right before,
but
it's just wrong picture.
I had to not react. I had to not react because I was like, this was the next one. But yeah, Danny Welbeck.
Quick question. Like we need a striker now.
Yeah.
Like not need a striker, but like an experienced one. Would you consider him?
If he wasn't injury prone, yes.
Because what he's doing at Brighton, he's actually been all right.
Yeah.
He's underrated.
But I think if he came to us, our medical department would kill him.
Yeah.
I think he would snap his leg in our first day of training, and that'd be it. His career would be over.
Yeah. Just a question I throw out there because I seen someone put it in the comments on our Twitter thing the other day, and I was like,
he scored at the Bernabeu. Not many strikers can say that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Just saying.
Don't disrespect Welbeck. He's still all right. He's doing bits for Brighton. So
Jay Motti is a big fan of his. Like Jay Motti will not have a bad word said against him.
But thank you very much for everyone who's tuned in and been getting involved in the comment section. We really appreciate every single one of you, and we are not far away from our personal milestone now of 5k. So please do hit that subscribe button and smash a like in the video. Also, as well, enjoy the rest of your weekend. There's going to be a couple of shows tomorrow, 12 o'clock news show, and we'll have something fun as well in terms of a pre-recorded one, and then we'll be live pre- and post-match for that Arsenal game that everyone's absolutely yeah. Any plans for the weekend, Sam, before we head off? What are you doing?
Friend's housewarming tomorrow, and then Sunday just try and not cry watching that game.
Look at the TV.
And then it's my birthday next week, and United are playing Newcastle, which I don't know if I'm going to watch, to be honest with you. I might just give it a miss, so my birthday is not fucking depressing. Because
probably best.
Yeah, I might skip it.
Probably best anyway. Right, we'll leave it at that, guys. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in. You're all a set of fucking legends, and we'll see you guys in the next one. See you in a bit.
Peace.
We want Blaze House and we want Blaze Out. We want Blaze House and we